Don't.
Don't what?
Don't get dressed.
I wasn't sure I'd be back to Coronation Street after how things ended with Kate Connor and her fiancé Rana Nazir back in 2019, because that was a tragedy I did not need in my life. But I am back as a result of the slow burn romance that has developed between Kate's half-sister and longtime resident on the cobbles Carla Connor and the local lesbian cop Lisa Swain. They have slowly been pulled into each other's lives over the last year, starting with murder charges brought against Carla's longtime friend Roy, and subsequently through what amounts to co-parenting of Lisa's troubled teen Betsy when she comes for work experience at Carla's underwear factory. As Lisa and Carla spend more and more time together, it leads to a moment between them that pivots their friendship into new territory. Carla had been straight until then. Well, I did, in looking up her history on the show, find one friendship that could leave room for questions, which I'll go over. But she is clearly charmed by Lisa. Lisa is clearly intrigued by her, and being the gutsy woman that she is, Carla makes a move. Since then, it's been anything but plain sailing. However, there has also been an assurance from the show that though things will continue to be bumpy for them this year, they will come out at the other end the stronger for it. It's already been a dramatic start to 2025 for the newly minted Connor Swain household. Indeed, they have, like the good Sapphics they are, already U-hauled it, with Carla needing a kidney transplant from her criminal brother, for which Lisa pulls out all the stops to make it happen by double-crossing him and putting her job on the line in the process. The consequences of that are still ongoing. After the abject disappointment of my last soapy Sapphic ship, what a horrific train wreck that was, the assurance that things will be okay between Carla and Lisa makes all the difference. And with that, I am set for the next phase of their relationship. Let's dive into the delightful swallowship. As most of you will know, Coronation Street is the first and longest running soap from the UK about the residents in the fictional neighbourhood of Weatherfield, Manchester that started in 1960, meaning it's been on air for 65 years, which is insane. During that time, there has been a handful or two of queer characters. Of the Sapphic variety, the ones that stand out to me are Sophie and Sian's love story, and then Kate and Rana that I mentioned before, and now we're getting Carla and Lisa. Now, I'm only discovering Carla's almost 20-year history out on the show now, so I welcome input from all of you longtime viewers, as I'm by no means an expert on her. But, oh my, she has had everything and then the kitchen sink thrown at her in that time. Carla has been through everything from tumultuous and failed marriages, dead husbands, affairs, shady business dealings, brushes with the law, alcoholism, car crashes, miscarriage, rape, being beaten, being kidnapped, being almost killed, a mental breakdown, suicidal ideation, and a kidney transplant. Well, now two. Phew, it's not even everything. She first appeared on the 1st of December 2006 as Paul Connor's wife, and after the marriage broke down, went on to get married 4 more times, with her second marriage to longtime love interest Peter Barlow ending in December 2023 for what looks like for good. She's also been the longtime boss of the local underwear factory Underworld, making her a successful businesswoman. Perhaps there are hints that Carla was bi prior to her romance with Lisa. Please do mention if you are in the know. And I say this because I found a number of fan edits for the relationship of Michelle Connor, her sister-in-law, childhood best friend, and, as we would find out in 2015, her cousin. So I imagine that ship got sunk by the news. Although having said that, it does mean that Carla was married to her cousin Paul, fell in love and had an affair with her other cousin Liam, so falling in love with Michelle would have been quite in keeping with Carla's MO. At any rate, the clips I've seen show them to be very affectionate and loving towards each other, and their friendship has been enduring and unbreakable. I don't know if there has ever been a lot of support for them as a ship, but I totally see it.
In fact, if I was that way inclined, I'd be marrying you instead.
Oh. Sound like an old married couple, us, don't we? Yeah, well, with our choice of men, we could do worse. Love you.
I love you.
You look good together. I'm glad you got him.
Yeah, me too. It's just not you, that's all.
I love you. I love you too. I love you too.
I do wonder if the evident chemistry between them could have caused the writers to slot away the idea that Carla could be bi for a future date. Well, that and what story has Carla not had at this point? Maybe it was just that they needed something fresh to offer up actor Alison King to portray. I do wish there was an interview or two with Alison or the writers with regards to this turn of events. I would love to hear what she has to say. With Lisa's character being promoted to main cast in March 2024, a character that actor Vicky Myers has long headcanoned as gay.
I had my thoughts about her being gay to start off with. And then this has come about in storyline meetings and meetings with Ian. So I'm really pleased, and it's a privilege to portray a character who is part of that community.
I guess drawing her deeper into the show was most easily done through a romance with an established character like Carla. Lisa appeared on the scene on the 7th of May 2021, investigating an assault of the sapphic character of Nina Lucas, so there is less history to her, especially as she initially played a more functional role investigating cases with residents on Coronation Street. It sounds like she was a genuinely liked character, even in this small capacity, and with a lot of characters exiting the show last year, they decided to promote her by introducing her daughter Betsy and the developing of a friendship with Carla to draw her deeper into the show. I'm not sure when the first time Lisa and Carla interacted. It's likely over the 3 odd years of Lisa being around, they crossed paths, especially as Nina is related to Roy, and as I mentioned, Carla is good friends with Roy, a friendship, by the way, that I find so adorable. Oh my god, what a delight. I'm not sure when their first interaction was, but they are slowly pulled into each other's orbit when, in October 2023, Carla goes to the police because she suspects she was drugged with LSD, and she winds up talking to Lisa, who isn't much help. It establishes a bit of a contentious dynamic between the women. In December 2023, Carla finds herself talking to Lisa again when she has some money stolen, £250,000, and when she goes to the police about it, she speaks to Lisa again, and again, Lisa isn't much help. In April of 2024, she goes to the police once again when Bobby, Carla's nephew, is worried that a girl he's been keen on, Lauren Bolton, might be dead. Roy is arrested for the murder of Lauren, and so Carla and Lisa once again find themselves in each other's orbit. Certainly not an auspicious beginning, but also giving flavours of enemies to lovers. Up until then, nothing much appears to be brewing between them. That is, until we are given spoilers that indicate that Lisa has her eyes on a Corrie resident. So when Carla finds her crying after a contentious conversation with Betsy over the phone on May 28th of last year, Sapphic fans immediately clocked and then jumped on board with this potential pairing.
Because of the dad, because of you getting a divorce.
Assumptions send you on the wrong paths. Oh, sorry.
Lisa is a bit spiky. She's hardly happy about being found crying like this. She is the archetypal tough but fair cop who's built a big wall around her. We do learn that she is a widow and a lesbian, though.
It's not divorce. It's bereavement. Becky was her other mother.
Oh.
Much to Carla's surprise, and her reaction, quite honestly, says something. This information was not neutral for her. Perhaps she already clocked that Lisa's really rather attractive. Perhaps not in a conscious, I'm into her kind of way, not yet, but I find the moment telling. For Lisa, I think she's pretty taken aback by Carla being so kind and listening. It's something we'll learn later doesn't happen a lot.
Feel free to tell me to butt out, but are you okay?
You're the only one who ever asked me that.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's fine. It's called being a copper.
It also sees her having a talk to Roy, who has been icing Carla out after she lied to him to help him get out of jail.
If I had a friend like that, I wouldn't be chasing her away.
And when it works, Carla is so grateful that she offers Betsy, Lisa's daughter, work experience at her factory because Betsy is interested in fashion.
Can I help you on it, so?
Yeah? What's she like?
Oh, she's a complete nightmare. But I reckon I can get her on side, so.
And I think Lisa is very touched by that. This is where we get the first clue that she might find Carla rather nice with the way she watches Carla walk off. The look away, the smile, the way she moves her arms. It's clear she is charmed. I don't think she's anywhere ready to acknowledge or act on it. She's still grieving her wife, Becky. Betsy is also grieving and acting out, and Lisa has flung herself wholeheartedly into work as a coping mechanism. So, though we've been given this little clue, for the next 5 months, it's more about slowly drawing the women together, which I'm such a fan of. Slow burn is right up my alley. With Betsy getting work experience in Carla's factory, Carla also sees more and more of Lisa as a consequence. Betsy is quite the madam. She is, as the show calls her, a gobby teenager. While delighted to be on work experience, she also takes the opportunity to blackmail Carla when she sees Carla deliberately opening her door and smashing it into a teen who had been terrorizing Roy, even though the murder charges had been dropped, the stress of which set off a heart condition that has Roy in hospital for a heart bypass, which the kids were just laughing about. Of course, super not chill to assault the boy. Carla overreacted out of anger, and Betsy is only too happy to press her advantage to get some part-time work out of it and a free breakfast or two. Carla does nip that in the bud, thankfully, but I think that in this behavior, Carla recognizes herself somewhat, and when Betsy relents, she feels a lot of compassion for her and her situation, as she is intimately acquainted with grief and losing people that she loves. So she takes Betsy under her wing, essentially, and mentors her because it's clear that she is spinning out a bit and making some pretty terrible decisions. Betsy's relationship with her mum is unsurprisingly fraught, and Carla finds herself acting as a medium between mother and daughter, which I thought was a lovely way to bring Carla and Lisa closer together. It feels quite natural and organic. It also means that Carla is building her own relationship with Betsy independent of Lisa, which bodes well for the longevity of the Swallow relationship. We see how Betsy begins to trust Carla, which we see when she gets caught up in a bad situation and she confesses. Carla is just a bit over-invested, I would say. This is going well beyond just an employee-employer dynamic, and I can't help but think that it is unconsciously motivated by the fact that Carla really likes and feels for Lisa and her situation. Without even realizing it, as I said, Carla is basically co-parenting Betsy with Lisa, and much of their conversations revolve around her.
You were right to tell Betsy the truth, and I was wrong to keep it from her. And I shouldn't have had a go at you.
No, you shouldn't.
So from now on, feel free to interfere in my life whenever you want.
Okay, I will.
I think Lisa is relieved to have another adult in her corner to help her deal with Betsy, and Carla becomes the listening ear for her insecurities around her parenting, because without Becky, she feels like she can't measure up and she's drowning just a bit. This next turning point, quite fittingly, comes from Betsy a couple of months into her working at the factory. I'm sure she's wondered why Carla seems so invested in her, so when she sees Lisa place a hand on Carla's forearm to comfort her, this is after she stepped in to de-escalate a confrontation with the resident bad guy, not the last time Lisa valiantly protects Carla, by the way. Betsy sees it and immediately makes an assumption.
I don't know what you think you saw earlier, but are you blushing?
Lisa goes to speak to her and denies there is anything going on, saying that anyways, Carla is straight, as Betsy quite rightly points out.
So spaghetti till you boil it.
Right, that is enough.
So she's clocking what neither woman is ready to acknowledge themselves, and to be fair, I don't think that Carla is even thinking about that just yet. She's still grieving the end of her marriage to Peter and plenty occupied with running her business. The idea, however, gets very nicely planted in her brain a few days later when, after the cat is finally out of the bag about how she injured the boy and she turned herself into the police, Betsy arrives to go to lunch with Lisa, only to have Lisa postpone it.
You got a better offer? I thought you said there was nothing going on.
What? No, this is work.
Yeah. Enjoy your little day.
Date?
Carla honestly looks delighted at the idea that Betsy has misconstrued things, and I'm sure that got the old cogs a-whirring in the brain, because conscious or not, there have been looks. Only now Carla is aware of what she's doing and how she's feeling. Now, for a character who has, the implication of her epic friendship with Michelle aside, always been with men, always been straight, the realization and acceptance of her feelings is quite delightful. We've had many a soapy sapphic storyline that revolves around the internal struggle to accept being gay, and of course that is valid, and those stories are great too. They're needed. But it's also nice to have stories where that is not the struggle. And not to say that Carla doesn't need some time to process, but ultimately it's so minor that it's barely a plot point, and Carla's reaction at realizing that Betsy thinks there is something going on between them is just so very telling for how little resistance there is for Carla realizing her feelings. The next big turning point is in October, when Carla is about to be assaulted by the father of the boy she injured. She's been in a foul mood that day because she received the divorce papers from Peter, and it is confronting, especially as he's already moved on with another woman some time ago. Wanting to check on her after she has basically saved Carla from the assault, Lisa drops by and they end up sharing a wine and both women getting quite vulnerable. Carla tells her about the divorce and about how she's dreading getting back into dating, and that quite naturally leads to Carla asking about Lisa and her dating life. I'm sure she's very curious about that, of which there has been none.
Nah, I'd be hopeless at casual. I'd get too involved and I'm not going through... Nah, I'm not risking it. It's not worth it.
Things get a bit deeper than that, with Lisa confessing that she's not even ready for anything, and what is probably her darkest, most hidden secret, that she's been harbouring the thought that if she were to die while on duty, that wouldn't be the worst thing.
You'd want to be killed?
No, not see, it sounds like that, but it's not as clearly thought out. I guess it just crosses my mind sometimes. Am I a bad person?
I think you sound lonely.
This confession is deeply vulnerable, and I think it scares her that she's opened up like that. As she prepares to leave, Carla pulls her into a hug, and the gaze they share before Lisa runs away can't be denied. It's a moment. There is understanding, there is kindness, there is love.
You mustn't put yourself in harm's way.
I won't.
Just for Betsy's sake.
I need to go.
Oh, Lisa, wait.
This is a moment that Lisa is not keen to discuss because she's avoiding Carla, and so Carla comes to her work to chat about it. I thought this conversation was interesting because Carla starts off by tentatively saying that Lisa assuming she's just curious is a disservice.
You think I'm a tourist, right?
No, don't go putting words into my mouth, but yeah, tourist sums it up nicely.
Surely that does us both a disservice thinking that.
Suggesting that she is more open to something between them than Lisa assumes. But I think seeing Lisa being so standoffish is enough to make her retreat.
You straight birds, honestly.
This is new, and it seems like she's not sure if she wants to go any further, but also she almost desperately doesn't want this to mean the end of their budding friendship. She ultimately says that she wants to draw a line under the moment and for things to go back the way they were, only they can't because both women are too affected by it. Later that day, they cross paths at the local pub and they are so awkward with each other, which Ryan, Carla's, well, I think we would call him her nephew, although he's actually Michelle's non-biological son who lives with Carla. Ryan sees this and then, bless him, he totally calls Carla out on it.
I know that there's a bit of a vibe between you two.
Well, it was... Oh, you're making me feel about 10. No, it's not funny, Ryan.
You want to kiss her?
All right. Stop it.
The scene had me cackling. I enjoyed it so much. Seeing Carla all caught up with these emotions that has her feeling like a kid again. It's clear she's got it bad, and honestly, the thing that seems to be holding her back is the fact that Lisa is so standoffish about it. I feel like if Lisa had given the green light, Carla would have been all in right there and then, except Lisa isn't, and it takes a few weeks to thaw out from that. This only leads to poor Carla crushing harder.
And go on, keep digging. Love to see a woman sweat.
Sorry. Oh, ribs. Ribs.
Yeah. Thank you. You're such a good mate.
Yeah.
When Lisa ends up drunk because she forgot Becky's birthday, which upset Betsy, Carla is called in by Ryan to come and collect her, and she ends up passing out on Carla's couch. This leads to her taking a shower the next morning and is all snuggled up in Carla's dressing gown, which, you know, it's pretty intimate, and the situation is not lost on Carla. So when Ryan drops by, wiggles his eyebrows at her after finding a half-naked Lisa in the apartment, she gets all shy about it.
I like it. You already know this. And yes, it does kind of feel different. But I don't know, Ryan.
Carla, you're one of the most stubborn people I have ever met, but even you're outdoing yourself here. You like her, you fancy her. You never stop banging on about her. Just see where it goes, woman.
And so she does. She legs it over to find Lisa getting dressed and says,
Don't what? Don't get dressed.
"Oh, glorious. I love it." Carla's forthright courage is a 10 out of 10, and boy, she is not messing around. It was clearly straight to the bedroom, and it was a bit of a marathon in there, because partway through, Carla is grabbing a water. She needs a bit of refreshment. I guess Lisa has been working her so hard, and then Lisa calls her back to bed. We also get a post-sex scene of them on the couch, much too far apart from each other for my liking. They should be all wrapped up in each other's arms, preferably in bed, but I don't know how much they tend to show with other couples on the show, and it's clearly gone rather well. It is a lovely little scene and great to see how easy they are with each other, how comfortable Carla is with this pretty big moment in her sexuality, and how happy Lisa seems despite her initial resistance. She sure did fall easily into Carla's bed. Overall, I thought they did a pretty decent job of the build-up. I mean, I have seen better. I would have liked a bit more consistent scenes, a bit more flirting and lingering looks. I am a sucker for all that. I think having Corrie on only 3 days a week with such a huge cast means there are weeks where the storyline might not get any airtime, but I guess it's just the nature of this particular beast. The consequence of which is I haven't been, in all honesty, quite as invested as with some other soapy ships. So while I've enjoyed the chemistry, it's taken longer for me to really get into it. I'm such a sucker for physical affection, tenderness, lingering looks, and that's felt like it's been more sparse than in other ships I followed. Case in point, the ladies get a minute of chill post-sexy lovey-dovey time before they're running all over the neighbourhood looking for Betsy, who has been sending SOS messages that Lisa missed for obvious reasons. She immediately clocks that Lisa is wearing Carla's top and guesses what that means, and she is not ready for Lisa to be moving on from Becky, especially the day after Becky's birthday. And this is enough for Lisa to put on the brakes. So it seems that as quickly as it's begun, it's over. Although I had to laugh at how Lisa asks Carla to the pub the next day to reiterate how over it is.
Carla, we slept together once, and I'm not saying it wasn't amazing, because it was, but I just don't feel that I'm ready for anything else right now, so...
Unbelievable.
What?
So did you bring me all the way here just to tell me that?
Carla is visibly upset by this turn of events. And perhaps that would have been it too, if not for Betsy getting herself in trouble again, which results in Carla getting a bleed on the brain from being assaulted in the factory. And as we all know, nothing will get a love interest to a bedside faster than a trip to the hospital. So we see Lisa crying at Carla's bedside. Even if Carla doesn't know what that means.
Everything all right?
With Lisa? Yeah, I don't really know where I stand, to be honest.
While also very much wanting it to mean something. This is where Roy steps in to remind Lisa that she shouldn't let fear get in the way, that in a few years' time Betsy will be off living her life and Lisa will be left alone. Why waste a potentially wonderful relationship? So Lisa asks Carla for a second chance, and they waste no time in announcing it to Betsy, who takes it all surprisingly well. There is a brief lull in the drama for our ladies. We get to see them having a spa day together, and it's very sweet. Carla wants Lisa and Betsy to come over for Christmas, choosing that over going with Ryan to visit bestie Michelle, so that's saying something. It also introduces the idea of Carla coming out, which Carla needs a bit more time with, which is so understandable. And while Lisa says that's fine, it's clearly not, because she gets super jealous of Carla and a man she's having a business lunch with. Turns out he's all over her because he's a very affectionate gay man. And this is for sure one of the times I don't agree with Lisa's behavior. Firstly, for her jealousy and how she handles it. And then for saying to Carla that staying in the closet is not okay. Come on, she's been into women for like 2 seconds. It's only natural to need a bit of time. But Carla takes it to heart, and so she kisses Lisa in the street under the watchful eye of the gossipy Sally, who takes it upon herself to spread the good word. By and large, no one gives much of a toss, even when Lisa is discovered emerging in a bathrobe from Carla's bedroom.
Was that what I think it was?
Pretty much.
Do you reckon I knew what was going on?
Well, unless he thought I was a very relaxed burglar. I mean...
Then, very conveniently, a pipe bursts at Lisa's place and they need to move out, and so they're moving in with Carla. That burst pipe must have destroyed the house or something, because it's now mid-March and they're still living with Carla. So by New Year's, Lisa and Carla are moved in together and celebrating in the pub, sharing kisses in public, and it's all hunky-dory until Carla lets it slip.
If you'd have told me this time last year that I was going to be falling in love with a local copper, I'd have... Oh, whoops. That just came out there, didn't it?
Lisa is like a deer in the headlights about it all. And it takes Carla going back into hospital once more, this time because of kidney failure, for Lisa to see the light. The number of times Carla gives voice to her fear that Lisa will run away, that she shouldn't be saddled with an invalid like her, gives insight into her fears. And in an attempt to get ahead of it, she even tries to break it off with Lisa.
This isn't what you signed up for, and you should probably do the sensible thing and walk away.
It's too late for that. I love you, Carla. In it right up to my neck. I'm going to be with you every single step of the way.
It certainly feels like a consequence of Carla's previous relationship where she's either been betrayed, the person has left or died or assaulted her, or with Peter, she pretty much preemptively ended it before he could when he divulged how unhappy he was with his life. She basically sent him off to work on a boat circling the globe, and it felt like it was because she wanted to do it before he could as a way to maintain control and her dignity. This feels like the same tactic, even though we're shown how much she needs Lisa.
Will you stay with me?
Of course I will.
Don't just mean tonight.
I'm going nowhere.
Lisa's declaration all those months ago has proven to be accurate. She might have been reluctant to start, but she is certainly all in, as she's proven, despite the fact watching Carla at death's door must be incredibly difficult after losing her wife. The fact that she's finally let her guard down with someone and bam, this happens. When she's not by Carla's side, she's busy double-crossing Rob, who says he's willing to give Carla a kidney out of the goodness of his heart, when in fact, he's planning to use it as a means to escape from prison. Lisa is very much onto his plan, and she strikes up a deal to get him an appeal for his charges without having any intention of doing it.
Once she's blagging, she can't swing it.
My partner's dying. I can do anything.
Only she doesn't fully realize what he is capable of, because he then kidnaps Carla hours after her surgery, putting her life in danger in order to blackmail Lisa into helping him escape after she declares her promise to help him was a ruse. When Carla hears that he's beaten Lisa unconscious, possibly killed her, she's beside herself and pushes him down some stairs, and it seems like he's dead, only he isn't. And as we speak, he's at large, breaking into Carla's house for money and pain medication, since he also has a wound after his donation, and he's following Betsy on the street. As high-stakes drama as all of this has been, it does give us the opportunity for a bit of hurt comfort. Carla is probably born out of her fear of Lisa leaving, possibly born of the expectation that her romantic partners can't always be relied on, trying to be hyper-independent, like when she says she doesn't want Lisa to come with her to ID who they think might be Rob's body. But she also needs the support, as seen by how she collapses into Lisa's arms when Lisa decides to turn up anyway. It's been quite the journey so far, watching these two very guarded, prickly, flawed women slowly draw together. I don't know how Carla was in any of her other relationships, but it seems to me that she's fallen hard and quick. I get the feeling that she's had much more tumultuous love stories with her exes than the journey she's been on with Lisa, but I think that also means that they have a stable foundation for them to build on, and I love that. It's clear Lisa has also fallen hard and fast. She's been, as far as I know, an above-board cop, but the moment someone close to her is involved in a case she's investigating, she tends to go rogue and be a bit reckless in her quest to protect her loved ones. She's done that with Betsy and the investigation into the resident bad guy Joel because of how Betsy was involved. She does it when new information comes to light about who was driving the car Becky was hit by, and she's done it with how she was willing to straight up break the law to get Carla her kidney. I'm curious to see what is to come, because this relationship is littered with possible pitfalls and potholes for them to fall into that I think Corrie will all too gleefully decide to throw them into. So I believe the show when they say that there is a lot to come for the couple through the rest of the year. The money that Carla had stolen from her, that she's been waiting to get back from the owners of the pub in order to pay Betsy back for her generous loan in order to go private for the kidney transplant, will most certainly cause some issues. Carla has some trust issues, even if Lisa has been working hard to prove herself. Lisa has a tendency to put her work ahead of relationships, so that could also become a problem. Betsy is ever a wild card, and who knows what she'll do next. And Rob is going to, for sure, cause some mayhem for the ladies before he is caught. At the same time, we've been given a love story where these two women have very quickly become ride or die for each other. The love is so evident in the way that they look at each other, care for each other, the way that they laugh together, and it feels like a pretty healthy dynamic. Where yes, they have lied to each other already a few times, usually out of a desire to protect or because it hits on one of their past wounds, but they also say what they're feeling and talk it through, which I really love. It took me a while to warm up, but a warm up I have. I look forward to seeing how they navigate it all as a little family unit, hopefully with a few moments of respite for the ladies to enjoy their relationship and have some moments of tenderness. Until next time, lady lovers.